welcome to this session hosted by Leadership Studio. It's a lovely, lovely evening. And today we're going to have a wonderful talk by a great speaker, a great friend of mine. And I can't wait to listen in myself. Remember, the topic or the subject of this particular session is growth mindset, right? So we're going to grow in our mindset. We're going to grow in our ability to think, in our ability to move forward. And it reminds me of one of the greatest entrepreneur of our nation, Ratan Tataji's statement. He said, I don't believe in taking decisions. I take the decision and then make it right. Most often we hesitate to take decisions, and that's something to do with our mindset. There's something missing there, right? That element of doubt plays in our mind, and that is what we want to kind of get away from, right? We want to grow in our mindset. We want to grow and deliver and become major players of this nation. As it is, we're celebrating Independence Day tomorrow, and what a lovely evening to have a session such as this with this particular topic, right? Our guest speaker today is Mr. Sriram Iyer, a great friend, a person who comes out as a fantastic, phenomenal enthusiast of empowering people. Look at him. I mean, you look at him and you get the energy straight away, right? And I say this with a lot of confidence because I know Sriram has been an ardent, pure salesman all through his life. He's been selling in the FMCG world, and thereafter he never stopped that. He took his passion to the next level. He started empowering salesmen who he saw in himself when he was young. And with that, Sriram today has trained more than 5,000 people worldwide, and especially specializing in the field of FMCG, whether it is Procter & Gamble, the Unilever, and you talk about major companies, he's there. It gives me utmost pleasure to be having Sriram as our guest speaker today. I don't have much more to say but to listen. And Sriram, I think the others are restless as well. So shall we begin then? Shall we get straight into it? Thank you.
Thank you very absolutely much. Thank you. Okay, good evening and namaskar, and thank you so much for this warm welcome, Alan, and thank you to Leadership Studio for giving me this wonderful opportunity, wonderful platform to connect with all those enthusiastic learners and participants. And as you rightly said, it's the weekend, and that too, it's the Independence weekend. So really appreciate that all of you could take out time and join us for today's evening. I am 55. I request that you call me Sriram because that would reduce my age by half and I become much more younger than what I am. So that's about me, and I'm based out of Mumbai. And once again, a warm welcome to all of you. And with that, of course, we will begin with what we call it as growth mindset. Okay. So growth mindset, of course, is basically comes from Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is basically a professor, a psychologist in Stanford University in the United States of America. And she has basically coined this growth mindset around 2 decades back. And over the last 2 decades, she has done a lot of research on growth mindset. She has written a lot of books. There are a lot of assessments, psychometric assessments, self online assessments available. And what we have done basically, we have got the book. We also have got some assessments bought from her. So obviously that gives us the liberty to use it, but we give the credit to Carol Dweck without fail. And that's where you see her picture right on the screen. So thanks to Carol Dweck for giving us this opportunity to talk about growth mindset. Okay. So if you continue to do what you've always done, you will continue to get what you have always got. And I think COVID pandemic over the last 16, 18 months has been a fantastic example of how we have changed, how our habits have changed, something which has forced upon us, which we didn't anticipate, we didn't expect. Of course, this came upon us, and then of course we were left with no choice, and we were made to change, and we changed to a large extent on many things. And that's where the point is, when change is forced upon us, of course we do it. But then the question is, can change also happen when it is not forced upon us? And that's where the context comes in terms of what we call it as the growth mindset. To a large extent, we would say that you have a mindset which is more inclined towards growth, which is more inclined towards change, which is more inclined towards something which you would like to do, and that's where you're totally working upon. But the question is, do we all have a complete evolved mindset? Do we all have a complete growth mindset? Are we all there? That's the question. The answer to that is we all have varying degrees of growth mindset. So as Mr. Naveen said, most of it you would agree except for maybe one or two, which means you may have one or two statements where you would say, no, this is something I would disagree, or I need to work upon and I need to improve upon. So when we talk about a growth mindset, we are talking about something where you are at a varying degrees of your mindset in terms of what change you would like to see in yourself, what change you would like to really see it happening. So what we will do is we'll try to explain to you what do we mean by growth mindset by giving you one example. Let's try to understand this by basically understanding one example. So growth mindset with some fixed ideas. So idea here is I wish to lose 10 kilos during the year. So this is the big idea about a growth mindset. I need to work upon my weight. I need to lose weight because this is very important. This is good for my health. This is important for my well-being. So the question is, what is it that I will do to lose 10 kilos during the year? Simply, it cannot happen. Okay, I stand in the front of the mirror every day, I get dressed and I say, okay, I'm going to lose 10 kilos. I'm going to lose 10 kilos. What's happening is my mindset is positive. My framework is positive, but wherever I'm standing in my house, the weight of the tile is getting reduced, but my weight is actually not getting reduced. So the question is, for me, I have to do something. I have to basically do some action whereby it will help me to lose my weight in terms of what I'm talking about. So first of all, I'm saying that I will not compromise on my breakfast. As we know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So I'm saying that come what may, I will have my breakfast. So that's very important. I will not skip exercise. So it's not just one thing. It's a combination of many things which I need to do to lose my weight, which means I will not skip my exercise. This is very, very important. This is mandatory. Then I'm also saying that I have a cheerful attitude. Now, many times we come across instances where people are, dieting, people are eating special food, people are eating certain regiment in terms of what they do. But when it comes to their attitude, when it comes to their moods, they are not at all cheerful. So again, I'm saying that it really doesn't matter. It's about me. So I have to have a cheerful attitude, regardless of, whatever is happening to me. I'm also saying that I will have no change to my other schedule, which means I will continue to do everything which is important for me. I'll continue to do whatever is expected out of me, which means it's very important that I focus on my weight loss, but at the same time, I focus on certain fixed ideas, which is very important for me to follow. And what are these fixed ideas? Fixed ideas primarily would mean here, which says that you would not compromise on your values and principles. Now, all of us know, as a matter of fact, we have values and principles. We have been brought up in a certain way. We have been having a certain upbringing in terms of who we are, and we all have certain beliefs and principles. So it's very important to remember that when you work towards your growth mindset, when you talk about changing your mindset, when you talk about bringing about that change in what you do, you basically do it by following certain fixed ideas, and these fixed ideas would mean not compromising on my values and principles. And each of us have got different values and principles. Each of us have got a different upbringing, and it's very important to be very true to yourself in terms of what you do. And that is what we mean by growth mindset with some fixed ideas. So to understand this mindset in detail, what we will talk about is what is mindset. When we say mindset, what do we mean by mindset? To understand this, what we are showing here is the established set of attitudes held by someone, which means each of us have got certain attitudes, certain ways of thinking in terms of what we do. So for example, what I think necessarily towards certain thing may not be true for Mr. Rajendra, or may not be true for Mr. Alan, or may not be true for Mr. Salil. But the fact is we all have different set of attitudes, the way we think what we are. No experience, because when you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, you don't gain experience. And that's where very important to make mistakes and learn from mistakes. So that's where embracing mistakes is a part of a process, which is very important. Cultivating a sense of purpose. What do we mean by sense of purpose? You have to have something where you say that whatever I'm doing, why am I doing, what is the reason behind that? So a sense of purpose in everything you do is very, very important. Another very important quote, like when I was going to the coaching classes right in my college days, we used to have a professor called Mr. Karkanis, and he used to say, it doesn't matter if you become a carpenter, but when people think of carpenter, they should think of you. And that's exactly what we mean by sense of purpose. So if you have a sense of purpose in terms of everything you do, you totally have a different approach in terms of how do you look at your life and how do you take control and charge of your life. And that's where very important to have a sense of purpose in terms of what we do. It also says, don't let your current abilities and competencies stop you from doing bigger and better things, of course, needless to say. And being open to changes that take place in your professional space, just another opportunity to learn more. Look at pandemic, look at COVID, what has happened in the last 16 to 18 months. We all have changed our ways of working. We all have changed the way we look at things. Like, for example, when pandemic happened, I'm a classroom trainer, I'm a corporate trainer, I'm a classroom trainer. But when pandemic happened, everything moved to virtual and online. The first thing I said, this is not going to work. And, I had this comprehension where I convinced myself that this is not going to last for a long time. And basically your online training, online programs will not work. But today, I have been able to create that impact. I have been able to get feedback from my corporate saying that, Sriram, training programs are as impactful as it was in classroom itself. So there are pros and cons when you compare both. But the fact of the matter is, you have to first convince yourself saying that, yes, this is going to work. And that's when you will be able to convince others. And that's where any changes which happens, it's very important to say yourself that another opportunity to basically learn more. You are capable of more than you think. And to illustrate that, I have one last slide. If you look at these two circles, what you think you are, what you really are. I'm sure all of you would agree to this. And that's exactly what we mean by your growth mindset.
I think it was a wonderful session. So first of all, I would like to thank Ellen first for organizing this session on behalf of Leadership Studios for guys and girls who are joined. And second most, I think Sriram Iyer, it was a really wonderful and motivating session, I should say. Ellen has already informed that you are a professional trainer, but this was a really wonderful session. It's a small start, which is very much required for the young kids, I believe, and also for us who have lost in the way of the in the professional approach or in the way of day-to-day working. So that was very beautiful examples given to once more reminders of Arvan Katapattu or the beautiful examples of the 4 growths which is required, or the 4 mantras for the growth mindset. It was kind of a refreshing session, I think, for all of us.